Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And I just got out of seeing the Northman on opening night. Had about probably 30 people or so in the theater, so definitely wasn't the biggest crowd in the world. And this is something that I've been covering for a while, talking about the box office for this film, is that with a $90 million projected budget, some have now reported $70 million. Either way, a pretty high budget film, especially for director Robert Eggers. This film is going to need to be able to make a fair amount of money, close to $200 million worldwide, if it's going to hope to break even. Now, I do want to put the caveat out there, of course, that breaking even or making money is not the sign necessarily of a good or successful film. However, it is important nonetheless, because if a film is going to be seen by Hollywood, seen by other producers, to be a movie that is worth talking about, or rather worth pursuing in the future, if these are the kinds of projects that you like, if these are the kinds of projects that you think are worth going to see, then you're going to need to be able to make your money back. You're going to be able to get money from these projects and to be able to get the return on that investment. I don't think this is the kind of movie that is going to do that. I don't think this is the kind of movie that is going to bring a lot of the normie audience, going to bring a lot of just casual moviegoers to go see it. I think this is the kind of film that's going to bring some Robert Eggers film fans out. I think this is the kind of film that is going to bring maybe people who have a genuine interest in maybe Norse stories or Norse mythology, as this has that in droves, I would argue. But I don't think it's going to be able to appeal to a wider audience demographic. And that's really where I get into kind of the crux of my actual review of the film, is it's hit and miss for me. There are some really great things in this film. I think that the acting is by far the strongest part of the film. That and the score are kind of like top tier for me. The score is just always on point with whatever emotion is being conveyed on the screen. It's just powerful. It's, of course, very appropriate for the era, for the time period as well. You just feel like you're in Iceland. You feel like you're in these areas that these different scenes are taking place in. So kudos to the composer for the film. I thought that they did a great job. I also thought that the actors did a great job as well. Obviously, Alexander Skarsgård is the standout here, did a phenomenal job in the lead role. Nicole Kidman, I did think, was a little bit rough around the edges in the beginning, but as the course of the film goes on, with some of the scenes that she's in, she shows that she indeed has those acting chops. She has that capacity to be able to pull out some pretty amazing performances, and I think that this is no different with that either. Also, of course, Anya Taylor-Joy is in this film, and she is always good in everything that she does. And I will say that she probably had my favorite of the performances, because I thought that she had probably the most range as far as what kinds of emotions she was conveying. And so I thought that that was something that was really impressive for her. But again, no real surprise for me, because Anya Taylor-Joy has always been impressive as an actress, and to me is still probably one of the most talented actresses working today. And Alexander Skarsgård, I think, also as a lead role in this film, did a very good job. That all being said, there definitely were some problems that I had with the movie. One of them is pretty, I guess some would call it a nitpick, but I think that if you're making a film like this that's meant to feel so authentic to the era and to the time and to the place, having the accents be all over the place, or at least sound like they're all over the place, I don't think is a good thing. So some of the characters either themselves have inconsistent accents, or some of the characters interacting who are supposed to be from the same or similar locations are also kind of going in and out from the very beginning. The young actor that plays the young version of Alexander Skarsgård, bless his heart, but he was a very green actor, and it just was not really pleasant to see that performance on screen. I thought that they probably could have gotten a better actor for that role, just being honest there. But other than that, I just think that one of the issues that this film struggles with is a story pacing issue, because the film feels so much longer than what it actually is. It's about a 2-hour 20-minute film, which by today's standards is still considered to be long. But even though it is on the longer side, it feels like it lasts forever. It drags. There are so many moments where it drags. When the action scenes are on, they're on, and they're pretty awesome, especially the third act. I wrote this down in my notes. The third act is phenomenal. The third act is great. There's a lot of great payoffs. There's a lot of really cool action sequence, fight sequence moments as well. So kudos to the stunt team throughout this film. There's a lot of interesting dynamics and a lot of interesting points brought into kind of the mythology of what of what these people would have believed in. A lot of superstition, a very heavily superstitious culture and society. There's also at one point where they have slaves who are Christians, and there's this really interesting dynamic of actually the character played by Nicole Kidman actually saying, these people, they're God. They believe him to have been killed on a tree, right? So there's this interesting dynamic there of this, almost like this commentary on religion and like, oh man, like, this is what they believe in, and yet this is coming from, in Nicole Kidman's case and in the Norse case, people who would be willing to and are willing to literally sacrifice human beings in order to try and appease the gods. And so it is just quite amazing to see all of these different dynamics play out. And so I think this is definitely a film that a lot of people are either going to love or are going to hate. And I always find myself with Robert Eggers films especially falling in that middle ground, because I can appreciate so many of the things that's done, whether it's the acting, whether it's the direction, whether it's part of the writing. I can always appreciate certain things, but then there's other things where Robert Eggers, I feel, just goes a little bit too far, goes a little bit too ethereal, goes a little bit too otherworldly, and I think it distracts away from the film. There were moments in the movie where something serious is happening, and almost the entire theater was kind of laughing at what was going on. Like, this one guy is getting beat to hell, and it's supposed to be this pretty serious thing, like, oh man, this is crazy. And it wasn't like oh dang, it was like people laughing at it. So I think that kind of was the moment for me where I recognized that, yeah, this is going to be a very divisive film because of that Robert Eggers factor. Some people love him. Some people worship the ground he walks on. They think he's one of the best things working right now in Hollywood, and they're so excited for him to get a big break. But again, based on the projections, this doesn't seem like it's going to be the kind of film that's going to be able to bring in a general audience. If I were to try and sell this film to people, or if someone were to ask me, hey, should I go to see this film? I would say maybe. It depends. It depends on you. It depends on the mood that you're in. There were a couple of moments where I was getting a little sleepy. It didn't put me to sleep, so it didn't fall into Sonic 2 territory, but it definitely still had me on edge, the edge of sleep at a couple of moments. But as I mentioned, when it does eventually pick up towards the end, especially in the third act, it becomes very difficult to not appreciate the acting going on and so many of the things that are being presented in this film. It's definitely a film that I think I'd be interested in seeing again, maybe when it comes on physical media or home release, just to find out more about the behind-the-scenes stuff. There's, of course, that stuff that I typically have issues with, so there's unnecessary nudity in the film that just, again, doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever, amongst other things. And again, those are things that bother me more so than anyone else. But overall, I would say the score is phenomenal, the acting is phenomenal, the direction, I think, is pretty good. I think that whatever he was trying to get at with this film works, but at the same time, it has the same pitfalls story-wise, plot-wise, as almost every other Robert Eggers film, for me at least. I'm not a fan of his. I don't get his shtick. I don't appreciate his shtick. Some people do, and if you liked things like The Lighthouse or like Witch, then I think you're going to love this film. If you're looking for an acting showcase, I think that you'll thoroughly appreciate this film. It definitely had some vibes to me in the very beginning, especially reminded me a lot of The Green Knight. So if you were someone that maybe liked The Green Knight a lot, I think that there's elements of this that will also make you appreciate the film as well. But even that film too, it was one of those mixed bags. I was like, part of me loved it, part of me hated it. I don't think I'm as much in love with this film as I was with certain elements of The Green Knight. But there are definitely things in here that I appreciate. So if I had to give this film a grade overall, than my initial reactions, I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid B. I think that, again, there's so many good things in this film. Is it a rewatchable film, though? Is it a film that I want to see over and over and over again, that I want to dissect? Not really. Other than maybe giving it another chance on another medium, like on, being at home, being able to take my time with it, maybe listening to some commentaries. That's one thing. But it's not something that I feel like I would go out of my way to, want to get the 4K as soon as it's available and that kind of stuff. But that's just my own perspective. What are y'all's thoughts? Have you seen The Northman? Are you excited for The Northman? Have you seen The Northman? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, not that fire button on Odyssey. Y'all are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my April Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Locals members. Starting off with Patreon with Animation Commentator, Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to you Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymeson, Inflamed Wood, Jacob from Holland, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Priscilla Hall, Rosella Allen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. And also to my Subscribe Star peeps, Matt317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand 4, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alice McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. And also a huge shout out to my Locals members, starting off with Kara Tharp, K Tharp 56. Also UAB, Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Robert Barnes, and also a huge support as well to Brett D90. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Locals. And I want to add a shout out for my newest Patreon member, One-Eyed Jack. Thank you again to everyone for supporting the channel. Please, if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link at the video description. It is my Willow link, as I like to describe it, and it brings you to a link tree where you get access to all of these different locations, as well as all of the various social media platforms that you can follow me on. If you join at the Citizen of Asgard level, you get your name shouted out at the end of every single live stream and video. Army of Asgard level gets you that, plus you get access to a giveaways channel that I have on Discord. If you ever don't have access to that giveaways channel, please contact me. I do send out the link to the Discord and with the instructions on it at the beginning of every single month. But if you don't have access to that giveaways channel where I'm giving away 4Ks and Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff, as much as I possibly can give away is available there. Please just reach out to me and I will gladly walk you through the process to make sure you get access to that giveaways channel. And again, that is, Army of Asgard level, whether you be on Patreon, Subscribe Star, or on Locals. Also, if you are the Keeper of the Bifrost level, you get access to all of that. Plus, you get access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. We try and do it once or twice a month. I think we're going to try and do it twice this month to make up for some miscommunication that we had last month. So be on the lookout for that, and look out for those podcast Q&A posts that are always available on the Patreon main page, the Subscribe Star main page, on the YouTube side of things as well. The YouTube community tab, you'll always find the podcast Q&A there, and also on the Locals page as well. And if you join at the Chosen of Valhalla level, the highest of the levels, you get access to all of that. Plus, if it's your first month, you get a free t-shirt, any t-shirt you want from my Teespring, my TeePublic, whichever one you want to get it from. You just let me know the size, location I'm sending it to, color, that kind of stuff. You get it sent to you. Plus, you get to be featured once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we all come together and just talk about movies and really anything the Chosen want to talk about, and it is a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you all very much for your love and for your support. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.